you know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Diane. When Twin Peaks came back in 2017, I was more excited than any television event that I could ever think of, but, well, the problem was that it really truly sucked. But I did have a damn fine cherry pie. Twin Peaks is one of my favorite television shows of all time. In 2017 it did return, and it was significantly lowered on my list of favorites after the said season had been released. So I'm Adam from the Damn Right Show, and today we'll be looking at the 2017 Season 3 Twin Peaks The Return. Rumours were abound that the Mark Frost and David Lynch spectacular were going to get either a sequel series or a reboot. So, Mr. Spooky himself, David Lynch, stepped up to set about creating a limited series for a third season, then dropped out because of a budget issue, but then stepped back in, and I sort of wish he hadn't. I like David Lynch films, Eraserhead, Elephant Man, Lost Highway, Blue Velvet, but I do find that he can get in his own way a little bit. Mulholland Drive, Fire Walk with Me. It feels like he takes images directly from his dreams or nightmares and puts them on screen, and fans and critics alike eat it up. Problem becomes when it gets self-indulgent to the point that the whole movie has to take a gigantic swerve in order to fit such sequences and imagery in. Twin Peaks the limited series is such a casualty. Most of the cast came back, apart from several who were dead. In fact, some were dying on set, and a whole host of big names signed up alongside to grab a slice of the legendary show's action. I mean, who didn't think that Amanda Seyfried was going to be the next victim and become this generation's Laura Palmer? Well, guess what? She sure as hell didn't. The show went out of its way in order to do things that you didn't want it to do, and it's almost tragic. For those who don't know, Season 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks aired from 1990 to 1991 on ABC in just 30 episodes. The story was of a young, polite, optimistic FBI agent, Dale Cooper, played by Kyle MacLachlan, as he travelled to the sleepy logging community of Twin Peaks, Washington, after a popular teenager, Laura Palmer, was found murdered with a clue relating to one of Cooper's other cases. The town is filled with eccentric characters and a wholesome 50s vibe, but as the mystery unfolds, everyone is hiding dark secrets of violence, murder, drugs, prostitution, incest, spousal abuse, infidelity, arson, you name it. Oh, and there appears to be some kind of portal to a hell dimension in the forest, where confusing ravenous entities chill out in a red room and talk backwards sometimes. Yup. Twin Peaks had it all. It was cancelled in '91 due to turmoil with both the ratings and the behind the scenes. After Laura Palmer's murder was revealed, mid-season 2, the ratings went into a bit of a free fall. Since the core mystery was over, and all of the show's ooky behaviour was trying to justify itself. Things went awry behind the scenes too, as apparently actress Lara Flynn Boyle, who played as Donna, wanted her then boyfriend Kyle MacLachlan's on-screen romance with the character Audrey Horne to end from jealousy, thus having to create the additional characters played by Billy Zane and Heather Graham to usurp their affections. Get your house in order, Frost and Lynch. The finale saw Dale Cooper go into the infamous Black Lodge, where he's confronted by a doppelganger of himself, the evil entity Bob, and is met by the spirit of Laura Palmer, who says we would see her again in 25 years. Back in the real world, Dale Cooper smashes his head into a mirror, revealing to the audience that it was the doppelganger Bob, who has returned to Twin Peaks, promising more chaos as the titles run down. David Lynch followed up with the movie Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, who some hail as genius, but I think that they are people who just want to sound clever and arty, saying that they get it when they don't get it. It is basically a prequel of short stories leading to the death of Laura Palmer, and it features David Bowie, who was set to return for season 3, but again, dead. Another trouble with production, since Carl McLaughlin, the star, was busy, so he only had a cameo. Some real Terminator Salvation work there. The show teased an epic cast, including Nine Inch Nails frontman and Oscar winner Trent Reznor. So how could this all fail? Easily. By not being Twin Peaks. The first problem is the question, what do you do with a problem like the Cooper Ganger? The sweetest, most charismatic and memorable character? What say we have him escape the Black Lodge, return to Twin Peaks, hunt his doppelganger? Nope. Instead, let's have him almost catatonic and amnesiac from 16 of the 18 episodes. Right? Yeah, that would be kind of like, let's bring back Frasier but only have Frasier turn up for the penultimate episode. The way that I would describe Twin Peaks Season 3 is that it doesn't really exist. It was just a mislabeled David Lynch variety hour featuring the not ready for primetime Twin Peaks cast. There's a sequence in Richard Linklater's Waking Life featuring a dream sequence with Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy reprising their characters from Before Sunrise. Waking Life, however, is not Before Sunrise Part 2, or any of the actual sequels to it, like Before Sunset and Before Midnight, and that is what this show feels like. The characters are all here, but they don't have the stories or arcs, instead they have sketches. The stories feel like non sequiturs. There are moments when you look at it and think, oh, here we go, like when Dana Ashbrook is reminded of Laura Palmer, but it leads to nothing. Another problem is Chief Harry Truman, played by Michael Ontkean, or lack thereof. His and Cooper's relationship was beautiful #friendship goals. Michael Ontkean, however, retired from acting, so the character did not return. His brother was played by Robert Foster in this version, and is the stand-in chief of police of Twin Peaks. The crazy thing is they didn't kill off the character Harry to explain his absence, instead, a fishing trip. His brother tells him on the phone that his BFF has returned from beyond the stars, but he isn't even a little interested. Why? Fishing trip. The Harry Truman we knew would have ran back to Twin Peaks if he had to reunite with Cooper, but this Harry Truman? Fishing trip. Oh, and remember the sweetest relationship in Twin Peaks between Ed Hurley and Norma Jennings? Well, they split up off screen, but to end the series they get back together. Are we supposed to be impressed that you dismantle something then put it back together? Because I'm not. The other breakout character, Sherilyn Fenn's Audrey Horne, well, I think maybe she's trapped in a lunatic asylum because evil Cooper raped her into madness? I say think and maybe because the show's 18 episodes don't deem the character worthy of knowing exactly what happened to her. Like, what even is this? All of the characters that return are either broken or miserable, like their lives have been an exercise in pain. But it's not explored much. Just, hey, look who it is, their life's shit, now hold on tight for some goofy special effects. The standout episode was Part 8, Got a Light, where Mark Frost described as a prequel of sorts showing the influence of the Black Lodge's evil, except this is in New Mexico, not Washington where Twin Peaks is set. Like I say, the David Lynch variety hour. Speaking of which, nearly every episode features a musical performance at the local Roadhouse. Not a performance that plays out in the background, but a full musical performance, like this is Saturday Night Live. Nine Inch Nails is one of the bands that play there, yep. A band with Oscar winners and an ex-Lost Prophet are playing at some random roadhouse in a Washington logging community. The final battle sees the woke version of Cooper finally fighting Bob, who is, in this instance, a bowling ball because the person who played as Bob was, yep, you guessed it, dead, in a ridiculous scene that looks like it was co-opted from a Birdemic movie. The show ends, presumably for good, when Cooper somehow travels to an alternate dimension and takes the now living Laura Palmer to her childhood home with her mysteriously evasive new occupants. Then she screams in recognition of her window? And show over. Thanks for coming, everyone. In summation, I felt shortchanged by Twin Peaks Return and the continuing frustration of watching your favourite characters return in snippets to show how shit their lives got, and unfortunately the show never really got going. In summation, I was pretty much disappointed by pretty much all aspects of Twin Peaks Season 3, Twin Peaks The Return. It really felt more like it was a 0.5 edition as opposed to an entirely new season. This is the kind of things that would be like an iTunes exclusive leading up to another season, or the way that Marvel or DC sometimes release a prequel comic book to coincide with an upcoming video game or movie. So, do you want to see Twin Peaks Return? It's unlikely, but what are your thoughts? Would you like to see Twin Peaks Forever? Twin Peaks and Robin? Maybe? I mean, like, hell yeah, I want another Twin Peaks, but I'd actually like it to be set in Twin Peaks with more focus on Twin Peaks characters, or developing characters to become Twin Peaks characters instead of just the David Lynch Variety Hour. Former Twin Peaks star Michael J. Anderson once accused David Lynch of raping his own daughter and murdering his best friend, and he was not returned to the Twin Peaks Return, instead was replaced by a tree. Yeah, that's Twin Peaks, alright. I'll see you in the next video.